Men, we can't live without them, yet still can't live with them. Men, why we hate them. Really? And what is it that I'm thinking? I asked, looking straight into his eyes so I could hear the words he wasn't saying. I was going to tell you about Obina, he began. I was just waiting for the right time. And when was the right time going to be? 10 years later? I asked, raising my voice. Please calm down, he begged. I promise, I was going to tell you this year. I just needed to find the right way to break it to you. I never planned to have a son out of wedlock, especially with a woman I don't even love. But somehow, I couldn't control myself, and it happened, he explained. My mistake cost me the only woman I ever fell in love with before we met. It was a bitter pill to swallow. But I had to be a man and take responsibility for my actions. God knows I've tried hard to get Nancy to leave me alone, but she wouldn't. I tried to be nice to her because she's my son's mother, and I love him very much. But I don't have any feelings whatsoever for her. The only thing she's good for, as far as I'm concerned, is sex. She's not even my type. So she's not even your type, but you keep sleeping with her repeatedly and even have the effrontery to record videos of your dirty deeds when it pleases you. Oh, he replied, shocked at my response. He had no idea I was still angry about the video. I could see he wasn't quite sure what to say. But I didn't know when she recorded the video, he said finally in his defense. She planned it as a surprise and sent it to me afterwards. That's not the point. You slept with her while we were together and still were not remorseful enough to delete the nonsense from your phone. I'm sorry, he said, hanging his head in shame. Sonia, I love you. I don't know why sometimes I find it hard to control myself around Nancy, but it's you I love. Maybe I used to feel sorry for her and give in to her demands because she's my son's mother. But I've changed. I don't do it anymore. I promised to stop that after meeting you, and I tried even though it wasn't easy. He paused, looking at me intently. I swear, I haven't slept with another woman in the last few months. Not even Nancy. I haven't slept with another woman in the last few months. Yeah. So we should clap for you now because you didn't sleep with another woman in the last few months. Is that what we are saying? The topic on ground is that you have a son. Which one is all this one that's here? Let's continue the story, Jerry. Please, don't leave me. We can raise Obina together and be happy. I love you so much. Just give me a chance to show you, he begged, coming over to my side of the table and kneeling. I'm nothing without you. I couldn't understand why he was being so dramatic. I hadn't even said anything about leaving him yet, and he was already acting like he would die if I did. I took his hands, squeezing them tightly and staring into his eyes. He was my true love, the one I would willingly sacrifice heaven and earth to be with. I couldn't understand how one person could bring me so much happiness and pain at the same time. I knew about the famous saying, love is pain, but the current pain I felt was more than I could bear. I had had dreams in the past of living happily ever after, one day with Nonso, but having to deal with a desperate woman like Nancy or raising a child that wasn't mine was not part of that picture. I had to decide to leave Nonso at that moment or stand the risk of a lifetime of misery, pain, and hurt. I knew that leaving him would hurt for a while, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. I had become a strong woman over the years. I finally cleared my throat and found the courage to do the necessary. I'm done with this relationship, I began. I can't continue like this anymore. I love you, but your son needs you more. I'm sorry. I let go of his hands and began getting up to take my leave. Sonia, please don't leave me now, Nonso begged, holding tightly to my knees. I would die if you left me. You won't die, I said softly, pulling off his hands from my knees. You'll be fine, I said, quickly walking away from him when I managed to free myself. I went into my car, locked myself up, and cried for hours. I had just made one of the toughest decisions of my life. I was scared about the future and worried I might never see someone better. But I knew I had done the right thing. That was how my experiment ended. Did I eventually find the answers to my questions? Well, maybe some. The others may always remain mysteries, but at least I could identify 4 classes of men to watch out for. I will now present them to you in no particular order. Specimen 4 represents the class of men who constantly cheat because they find it difficult to be in control of their desires, just like Nonso did. He loved me, but couldn't resist the urge to cheat when it came. He wasn't honest with me because he was probably scared to lose me. It's the same with many men today. They love their partners, but cheat because they haven't learned to control their desires. The unlucky ones regret their actions after it's too late and their partners are gone, while the lucky ones realize their mistakes and correct them before their partners discover. Specimen 1 represent the men with wandering eyes like my father, who are never satisfied with their partners. They have the perfect partner, but are still always looking for something more. In the process, they end up cheating on their partners with women who are worse than them in every way. The unlucky ones like my father only realize when it's too late that they've settled for rice and stew when they had jollof rice at home. Specimen 2 represents the paltry percentage of men like my brother Stephen, who have learned to control their desires and refuse to be distracted by the female charm. Do these men even exist, you may ask? They do, but very few women are lucky enough to find them. Specimen 3 represents the men popularly called pants by their fellow men because they are suckers for love, like my best friend Shem. They would go to any length to please their women and are always at their beck and call. These types of men hardly cheat on their partners. Unfortunately, they are the ones that get cheated on the most because their partners usually take them for granted. Unfortunately, we didn't see much of this character as presented by my best friend Shion because he was away most of the time I conducted my experiments. Some other time maybe, I'll tell you more about him. Now that you know the 4 different classes of men, which does your man belong to? Finally, we have come to the end of this beautiful story series. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section down below and look out for the next story that will be starting really soon. The book is actually available in paperback and ebook format on Amazon and Seller. So you just need to go to Amazon and type in Men Why We Hate Them by Olufemi Idowu and it will bring up the book and you get to choose whether you want the ebook, paperback or the audiobook. For users that don't have access to Amazon, you can download the ebook on seller.co and you get to read these and many more exciting titles from yours truly. And if you're interested in a movie collaboration, hit me up. Till next time, stay safe. Men, why we hate them.